Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we are doing something really practical. We're going to talk about everyday English at the workplace. Not grammar rules, not vocabulary lists, but the real, natural English that gets used every single day between colleagues in offices, shops, schools, hospitals, and any professional environment. This is the English that makes working life smooth and comfortable.
Yes, and I think this is one of the most immediately useful topics we have covered because so many learners are confident in their textbook English but feel uncertain and even anxious when they have to communicate in a real workplace setting. Today, we are going to change that.
We're going to cover greetings and small talk, asking for help and clarification, giving updates, agreeing and disagreeing politely, making requests, expressing opinions, and how to handle misunderstandings, all in natural workplace English.
Let us start with greetings and small talk, because every working day begins with them. The morning greeting sets the tone for your relationships with colleagues, and it matters more than people often realize.
The most natural morning greetings in a workplace are simple and warm. Good morning. Morning. Hey, how you doing? How was your weekend? How are things? Did you have a good evening?
These are light, friendly, and easy. You're not expected to give a long answer. The typical response to "How are you doing?" is "Good, thanks. You?" Or "Not bad, pretty busy. How about you?" Keep it brief and positive unless you know the person well enough for a longer conversation.
How was your weekend is one of the most universally used Monday morning phrases in English-speaking workplaces. Have a short, ready answer. It was good, thanks. Pretty relaxing. Or, quite busy actually, had family visiting. Then return the question. How about yours?
Small talk is the oil that makes workplace relationships run smoothly. Topics that work well for small talk include the weather, sport if you know the person follows it, weekend plans, something in the news that is neutral, or how busy work has been recently.
Topics to avoid in small talk are politics, personal finances, relationships unless the person brings them up, and anything that could be divisive. The goal of small talk is warmth, not depth. Light and friendly is the aim.
Now let us talk about asking for help. Knowing how to ask for help politely is one of the most important workplace communication skills. In English, there are many ways to ask for help, and the phrasing you choose affects how professional and considerate you sound.
For a direct request, could you help me with this? Would you be able to take a look at this? Do you have a few minutes to go over this with me? Do you mind explaining this to me?
For a softer, more tentative request, I was wondering if you could help me with something. I don't want to bother you, but I'm a little stuck on this. When you have a chance, would you be able to look at this?
The softer versions acknowledge that the other person is busy and show consideration for their time. This is very important in professional English. Being too blunt without softening can come across as rude even when you don't mean it.
And always say thank you and follow up. That was really helpful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. That makes much more sense now.
Now let's talk about asking for clarification. This is something many learners avoid because they feel embarrassed to say they didn't understand. But in English workplaces, asking for clarification is completely normal and in fact appreciated. It shows you're taking things seriously.
Natural ways to ask for clarification. Sorry, could you say that again? I want to make sure I understood correctly. Could you explain that in a bit more detail? Just to clarify, do you mean this or that? I'm not sure I fully understood. Could you walk me through that again?
These phrases are respectful and professional. They don't make you look intelligent, they make you look thorough. You can also paraphrase to check understanding. So, if I understand correctly, you're saying we need to submit this by Friday. Let me just check I've got this right. You want me to contact the client first and then update the system. Is that right?
Paraphrasing back shows you are listening and gives the other person a chance to correct any misunderstanding before it causes a problem. This is excellent professional communication practice.
Now let's talk about giving updates. In almost every workplace, you need to give updates on projects, tasks, or situations. How you give those updates matters.
Starting an update. Just wanted to let you know that the report is nearly done. I wanted to update you on where things are with the project. Here's where we are with the situation. Quick update on the order.
Saying things are going well, everything is on track. We're making good progress. Things are coming along nicely. We're ahead of schedule.
Saying things there's a problem or delay. We've hit a small snag. There's a slight delay on our end. We've run into an issue that might affect the timeline. I wanted to flag something before it becomes a bigger problem.
That last phrase, I wanted to flag something, is a really useful one. It signals you're being proactive and responsible. You're raising an issue before it gets worse. Managers and senior colleagues appreciate this enormously.
And when something is done, I've finished the analysis. The report has been submitted. Everything has been sorted. We are all set. Good to go.
Good to go is a very natural, informal phrase meaning everything is ready and there are no more obstacles. Is the presentation ready? Yes, we're good to go.
Now let's talk about making requests. Whether you're asking a colleague, a junior, or a manager, the way you phrase a request sets the tone of the interaction.
Asking a colleague for something. Could you send me those figures when you get a chance? Would you be able to cover this meeting for me? Is there any way you could help with this?
Asking a manager. I was hoping to discuss something with you when you have a moment. Would you be open to reviewing this before I send it? I wanted to check with you before moving forward on this.
Asking someone junior or directing someone, could you take care of this for me? Would you mind handling this? I need this done by end of day. Does that work for you? Noticing the pattern. You're almost never giving a direct order in English workplaces except in urgent situations. Even managers phrase things as requests. Could you and would you mind are the natural tools for workplace requests.
Now let's talk about agreeing and disagreeing. This is a subtle and important area. Agreeing is easy, but disagreeing politely while maintaining a good relationship is a skill that takes practice.
Agreeing. Absolutely. Definitely. That makes sense. I completely agree. That's a good point. Exactly. You're right. I think so too. That sounds good to me.
Partly agreeing. I see what you mean. You have a point, but I agree to some extent. That is fair, though I was also thinking, I understand where you are coming from.
Disagreeing politely. I'm not sure I fully agree. I see it slightly differently. I take your point, but I think, with respect, I think there might be a different way to look at this. I hear what you're saying, but my concern is,
The phrases "I see it slightly differently" and "I take your point but" are very useful. They acknowledge the other person's view before presenting your own. This keeps the conversation respectful even when you disagree.
never start a disagreement with, "You're wrong," or "That is not right" in a professional setting. Even if you know something is incorrect, soften it. "I think there might be a small error here," or "I'm not sure that's quite right. Let me double check."
Now let us talk about expressing opinions. Being able to share your view professionally is valuable, but it needs to be done in a way that is confident without being domineering.
In my opinion, this approach works better. I think we should consider a different timeline. From my perspective, the main issue is, my feeling is that we need more time on this. If I'm honest, I'm a bit concerned about this part.
Those phrases signal that you are sharing a personal view, not stating an absolute fact. This is important in collaborative environments where decisions are shared.
I might be wrong, but it seems to me that could also work well. It shows openness to being corrected. I might be wrong, but it seems like we're missing a step here.
And ending a contribution with, "What do you think?" or "Does that make sense?" invites others to respond and shows you value their input. That's my view on it anyway. What do you think?
Now let's talk about handling misunderstandings and awkward moments because they happen even in your native language, and they definitely happen when you're working in a second language.
If you said something wrong or unclear, "Sorry, I think I expressed that badly. Let me rephrase that. What I meant to say was, I apologize, that came out wrong. Let me clarify what I meant."
If someone seems to have misunderstood you, I think there might have been a miscommunication. I may not have explained that clearly. Let me go over that again, just to make sure we're on the same page.
On the same page is a very common workplace expression, meaning everyone has the same understanding. Are we all on the same page? I just want to make sure we are on the same page before we move forward.
If you made a mistake, I apologize for the error. I should have checked that more carefully. I will make sure that does not happen again. Let me fix that right away.
Taking responsibility clearly and briefly is the most professional response to a mistake. A long, excessive apology can actually feel less professional than a direct acknowledgement and commitment to fix it.
Now let me share some very practical phrases that come up constantly in workplace English that learners often do not know.
Let me know if you need anything. This is said after explaining something or giving a task. It's an open invitation to ask for help. Very common and very warm.
I will circle back on that. Circle back means to return to a topic or task later. Let me circle back on this tomorrow when I have more information.
I will touch base with you later. Touch base means to make brief contact to check in. I will touch base with you later today to see how it's going.
Can you loop me in? Loop someone in means to include them in communication. Could you loop me in on that email chain? Loop me in means add me so I can follow what is happening.
Let's take this offline. Taking something offline means discussing it privately rather than in a group meeting. That's a good point, but it's a bit detailed for this meeting. Let's take it offline.
We're stretched a bit thin right now. This means the team is very busy and doesn't have much extra capacity. I would love to help, but we're stretched a bit thin this week.
Now let us talk about email phrases, because so much workplace communication happens through email, and writing professional emails is a skill in itself.
Opening an email. I hope this finds you well. I wanted to follow up on our conversation. I'm writing to ask about. Further to our meeting yesterday.
Making a point, I would like to bring to your attention, I wanted to let you know, as discussed, please find attached.
Closing an email. Please let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. Many thanks. Kind regards.
Please let me know if you have any questions is probably the most common email closing in professional English. It shows helpfulness and opens the door for further communication.
Now let's go through the most common mistakes learners make in workplace communication.
Mistake number 1 is being too direct without softening language, saying, do this instead of, could you do this? Or would you be able to do this? In English workplaces, directness without politeness markers sounds abrupt and can damage relationships.
Mistake number 2 is over-apologizing, saying sorry multiple times in one conversation, or writing I'm so sorry in an email. One clear apology is sufficient and more professional.
Mistake number 3 is not asking for clarification because of embarrassment. Going away and doing the wrong thing is far more costly than spending 30 seconds asking for clarity.
Mistake number 4 is using very informal language in formal contexts, or very formal language in informal contexts. Reading the room and adjusting your language register accordingly is an important skill.
Mistake number 5 is avoiding small talk entirely. Some learners skip it because they feel unsure, but small talk builds the relationships that make everything else easier. A little warmth goes a long way.
Mistake number 6 is not confirming understanding, going away after a meeting or explanation without checking you understood correctly. Always paraphrase or confirm before you leave.
And mistake number 7 is translating phrases from your native language directly into English. Some direct translations produce phrases that sound odd or rude to a native English speaker. Learn the English phrases as chunks rather than constructing them word by word from your own language.
Let's close with something I think every learner needs to hear about workplace English.
Please.
The goal of workplace communication is not to be grammatically perfect. The goal is to be understood, to be respectful, to build working relationships, and to get things done together. A small grammar error that is said with warmth and clarity will land far better than a grammatically perfect sentence delivered coldly or uncertainly.
Confidence and warmth are the foundation. The phrases and the grammar are the tools. Use the tools to serve the foundation.
And the more you use English in real workplace situations, the faster you improve. Every conversation, every email, every meeting is practice, and practice builds the instinct that eventually makes it all feel natural.
You belong in the workplace. Your ideas have value. Your contribution matters. Let the English serve that, not the other way around.
Thank you so much for being here today. We hope this gives you practical tools and real confidence for your everyday workplace communication in English.
Keep going, and we'll see you in the next episode.